Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Shield Hero Season 2, Episode 3. In the last episode, we basically the only thing of significance was that we moved to a battle against the Spirit Tortoise, which was kind of fast, not gonna lie. It's like episode 3 and we're already facing off against the great villain of the season, I'm assuming. Although I don't think they will arrive at the place of the Spirit Tortoise already. If they do, then that means they sped up things like a lot. I'm not familiar with the source material, mind you, but even without being familiar with it, the pacing, if they really start fighting Tortoise right now, the pacing will be off, even for someone who's an anime only like me. So hopefully they won't do that. Besides that, there was a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of politics. The one character whose name I already forgot revealed herself to be not only a ruler of a country but also a familiar of the Spirit Tortoise, or perhaps mainly a familiar of the Spirit Tortoise, but also a ruler of whatever country who was placed in the rule of it, essentially just to feed the tortoise souls, which is kind of fucked up, not gonna lie, but hey, it is what it is. She didn't choose her master. Her master created her, so not like she has a choice. And we also learned about what the spirit tortoise even is in the first place. It seems to be essentially a contingency plan in case the heroes cannot fight off the waves. The spirit tortoise can just harvest, I think it was like 70% or something like that of souls on this in this world, and in exchange for that, the waves stop. So that's the prediction that Vittoria had. Well, not as much as a prediction as just a fact that she stated that the world will require sacrifice from all life. And that's the spirit tortoise. I'm assuming Naofumi won't just let it run rampant, especially since the tortoise's familiar herself just came up and said, "Hey, yo, kill my master." He wasn't supposed to be awake yet. Someone awoke the tortoise way ahead of time. Interesting. Who could it be? I'm assuming it's one of the 7-star heroes or whatever they're called. Yeah, 7-star heroes. Uh, Interesting to hear that. There are other groups of heroes. Uh, all this time I was under the impression that there's only the 4 Cardinal Heroes, but apparently there's also 7-star heroes, and perhaps even more of them. Sure, the Cardinal ones might be the strongest, but still, it seems like too big of a detail to kind of just casually leave out, especially since those other heroes not only stem from the people of this world, but there are also off-worlders there. So, eh? It was perhaps not even perhaps, it most definitely was explained better in the source material, but as I said many a time, I can judge the anime by its own merit only, not by the merit of the source material. Uh, what else was interesting about the last episode? Mm, right, them killing the spirit tortoise preemptively before it is the time for the spirit tortoise to even emerge makes it so that the world no longer has a contingency plan. If the tortoise is no longer there, they will have to fight through the waves and they will have to succeed. Unless, of course, there are other sorts of spirit animals that can do the same thing. I don't know, the spirit tortoise came completely out of the blue. Wouldn't surprise me if there were more spirit animals that also came completely out of the blue. Will that be great? No, the exact opposite of great. Is it expected? Kinda, sorta. It is what it is, I guess. And we will have to see the episode itself to figure out, are they gonna go against the spirit tortoise? Are they not? Are we going for an adventure with the army for like a couple episodes, and only in episode like 5 or 6 we get to face against the tortoise? Or are we gonna try to squeeze multiple arcs in a single season? Now, do mind that this season is 12 episodes, not 24. So while they were able to squeeze essentially 2 arcs into a 24 episode season, because it was 24 episodes, I highly doubt they will be able to do that in a satisfying manner in a 12 episode season. So we'll see. Right, and people told me that the things that were cut out were mostly quote unquote boring stuff. Well, maybe not boring, but very slice of lifey stuff. Essentially, Naofumi just hanging around the village, training, Eclair, yeah, Eclair arriving and training and rebuilding and talking and that kind of stuff. So it's no wonder they cut it out, right? Like, you can have whatever opinion you wanna have on the fact that they cut out that part, but having half a season or an entire season of just slice of life stuff would probably make many people drop it. People watch Shield Hero for the adventure, not for sitting at a village and ordering a new order of shingles, right? It's just not the kind of a show. Um, yeah, I think we should just start watching it. So subs first and foremost. Sound. Also, I cranked up the saturation of my camera a little bit, not as much as it was cranked up in Review Starlight episode 3, which is out on Patreon, not yet on YouTube. If you want to watch it early, you can click the link in the description. Yeah, that was too much. I was fucking around and just, screwed something up. But I kinda like the more saturated look. It's more true to life, right? I don't have gray hair, they are slightly brown, so now it looks better, in my opinion. But you guys let me know. Do you prefer the more desaturated look, the more saturated? I don't know. Also, I mentioned it during the Review Starlight episode, but there's gonna be a week until it releases for you guys on YouTube. I changed a little bit the settings of my mic, played around with the noise gate and whatnot. So tell me how you like it. Do you, I don't know, hear me breathing, hear me swallowing, or something like that? If you do, then let me know, and I'm gonna try to experiment a little bit more with the settings. But now we can finally start watching episode 3 of season 2 of Tate no Yusha no Nariagari, a version by Saps, please, and it's gonna be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Is it the tortoise? It is the tortoise. Ooh, CG. That looked very Arifureta. Oh, that's some Arifureta season 1 grade CG. That's not great. That's not a good look. Opening? Okay, so episode 3, and we're already fighting the tortoise. I guess no opening, at least not yet. Oh, it's her. The spy. Yep, the shadow. She's not great at blending in with her, voice tics. Does she have a thing on her helmet that's the color of her hair? Or did she pull her hair through a hole in her helmet? Hmm. Is it just me, or is the animation and art kinda middling? Well, I get. I wanted to say that at least the army isn't CG, but it is. I guess at least it's like obscured in some dust and whatnot, so it doesn't look. Yeah, it actually looks decent. The marching army actually looks decent. I was afraid it's gonna be like the Goblin army, but no, no, thankfully not. There's a variety in their poses, in their movement, in their looks. Yeah, actually, genuinely, thumbs up. Genuinely, thumbs up for this CG army. Don't you have full control over the Rage Shield now? At least that's what you've shown in episode 1? Isn't the consequence of using the Rage Shield completely gone? Or was him using the Rage Shield in episode 1 just an anime original? Actually, let me know. Him using the Rage Shield in episode 1. Is it something that happened in the source material? Is it anime original? Did it happen differently in the source material? Did Raphtalia have to save him as it's usually the case, or was he able to just wake up from his rage himself? See, the spirit tortoise looks good in the OP. It looks like shit in the actual anime. The OP actually has the quality of the first season, if not more. Knife hero, katana hero, staff hero, kigurumi hero. Okay. Show me the battle with the tortoise. Yep. Grab aggro. That's a big range on his aggro skill. Okay, this CG army doesn't look bad. Would it look better drawn? Sure. Does it look like the Goblin army? No. Not even close. And then there's this fucking thing. This fucking chunk of clay and plastic. Hmm. Or jump? Actually, I'm curious. What can Rishia do with her brand new Kigurumi? Okay, she's gonna bring them to the ground. Yep. Just pin them down. That's a useful skill to have. Yeah, I can't imagine she can keep it up for particularly long. So you should probably get to it. Catapults and ballistae. Should have used trebuchets. I told you. Uh, this tortoise really looks like the young ones from Overlord that Ein summoned. Okay, that's an interesting skill. Splits the enemy in a half, and each half of the enemy attacks other enemies. And Phil is just blowing them away. You still have mages and sappers, though. I. Okay. Those arrows really didn't look like they went in this deep. Yet apparently they did. He's planning to sacrifice himself? I have to say one thing about the tortoise. I love how there are buildings on its shell. The scale of this tortoise isn't really shown all that well, but the buildings really help show the scale of it. And my cat is awake. Hopefully, she won't trample my camera setup. You can go to sleep again. I wouldn't mind. Okay, the scale is inconsistent of this tortoise. I think that's what bothers me about it. Is it Rishia's time to shine? She's gonna master Hengen Muso just like that? How convenient. It will summon spikes. Okay. Okay, it's launching a bunch of ballistic missiles. Ordering it to do so? Rage shield? Rage shield. What else? You sure it's a good idea? Yeah. It probably isn't. How convenient for you that it's not attacking you. Okay, she went to sleep again. My camera setup is safe. Yeah, thing is, he didn't order anything. I'm guessing stage 2 is the Rage Shield. Okay, I see what their plan is. Now Fumi summons the Rage Shield, people, casters attack him, he amasses the damage and reflects it at the tortoise. At least that's what I would have done. He died of cringe. Sorry, but the lack of any visible damage on him. Uh, so they just want to bury it. They want to use mages to bury it. Does she die with the tortoise, though? It's a zombie manticore. Amalgamated parasite. It's a manticore, it's a praying mantis. Yeah, don't just stand around, fight it. It's a good thing that it stopped firing those spikes. There goes your card. And you missed. And you missed. I guess it's gonna leave a scar. Uh, and it's cauterized, so it's not even gonna bleed out. A Osthorai shield unlocked. Osthorai shield unlocked. And just like that, well, we're done. Roll the credits. Did we just finish a whole arc in 3 episodes? Did we finish a whole arc in 3 episodes? She's still around. I'm guessing she's still around. Perhaps she now inhabits Naofumi's shield. Yeah, she's still around. Of course she is. You don't just introduce a waifu like her casually and then just kill her off in 3 episodes. Is she now detached from the tortoise? Oh, okay. Okay, so we're not done after all. So what needs to be done to defeat the tortoise if beheading isn't enough? Completely destroy its head and body? Have it be consumed by the flames of the rage shield? Have it be consumed by Philo? I don't know. Okay, that's better. That's better. I was afraid that we're actually gonna be done with this arc in 3 episodes, but thankfully, no, it's gonna continue. The pacing isn't that rushed. Okay, the title of the next episode is Ruins in the Fog. We need to travel somewhere to find a MacGuffin that will be able to kill the tortoise once and for all. Is that gonna be what we're doing? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Uh, and we'll also see this episode again in retrospect, in review, in this little window here. Okay. Mm. This tortoise, unfortunately, looks very much like Adifreta Season 1 CG. Maybe a little bit better. But yeah, it it genuinely looks like Adifreta Season 1 CG. So much texture on it. So much detail. I guess it's done somewhat to like convey the scale of it. Hmm. In stills, it looks kind of sort of like backgrounds, but not quite. But it moves. And since it moves, and since it animated on once, the illusion of it being a part of the background disappears. Not a fan of the tortoise. Not a fan whatsoever. Yeah, the tortoise is active. Dragon Riders, yeah, we're going off. Siege and whatnot. Tappers. Shadows here, thankfully. Eclair, thankfully she survived. And now when he creates the banner. That's a cool idea. Both to boost morale and to tell everybody and to use it as a warning sign, right? Hey, now Fumi is there. He's probably gonna go sicko mode at one point or another. You maybe don't wanna get too close. But now for me holding this pole, kind of makes me wonder. Now for me cannot use weapons, but what constitutes what constitutes what constitutes as a weapon? This piece of bamboo. It can be used as a weapon, a staff, a pole arm essentially. But he can hold it. So is it the intention that also matters? Like, if he was to swing that pole at someone, then he would be zapped and would have to release it? Or can he just use like branches and rocks and whatnot as weapons because they aren't weapons, but they can be used as one? Does a knife count then? Knife is a tool to use in a kitchen. I mean, Naofumi is a cook. He cooks, so I'm assuming he uses knives during the process of cooking, but a knife can be used as a weapon. So could he use a knife as a weapon? Or does the intention matter? Interesting bit to think about. It was probably explained more in depth in the source material, but wasn't explained in depth in the anime, so... Oh, Jesus Christ. So I can't talk about it. This banner somehow seems iffy to me. Probably because of the line work on the dragon on it. I don't know what it is about it, but it just looks iffy. And it might just be me. It honestly might just be me. It might not be actually the banners, it's just my preference of some sort. Here, in this scene, the banner actually looks decent. But when it's zoomed in, it's iffy. We're moving, we're marching out with swords drawn. The army is drawn, the army is 2D. In this scene, the army is CG. But notice how every soldier moves slightly differently. Every soldier holds a slightly different pose. They aren't placed in perfectly equal rows. They aren't marching with the same animation. Compare it to Goblin Army from Overlord, where every single goblin has the exact same animation and the exact same model, and they're just copy-pasted in neat rows in a neat grid, and they're just marching. This is actually genuinely well done CG army. And you zoom in, that's another important thing. You zoom in on this CG army and it's no longer CG. They have individual faces, individual expressions. Right? CG army was genuinely well made here. Genuinely. I don't know who made the tortoise. The tortoise looks... I'll be honest here, it kind of looks like garbage. The army actually looks good. OP. If only the whole show had the quality of the OP. God damn it. Look at Raphtalia's face here. At Naofumi's face. But mostly Raphtalia's. And look at Raphtalia's face here. Now, I get it. This is zoomed in. And this is just the OP. But... even the tortoise. The tortoise actually looks good here. There are the lines, right? Like drawn lines on top of it. And there isn't any texture on this tortoise. And there's like 2D shading. I talked about it time and again, but the rule of 3 colors. Base color, shadow, and highlight. Every part can have only maximum of 3 colors for it to look 2D. Most commonly, it's just base color and a shadow, but if you need to add a highlight, right? But don't add any more colors. You want it down? You want to get off? Get off. I guess. Okay. And there she goes. Ah, the tongue is only 2 colors. The skin is 3 colors. And this tortoise here might be CG. I don't know. It might very well be CG, but it follows the rule of 3 colors. There are the sketch lines on it, and that gives even more of an illusion of it being 2D. Kind of like the Skeleton Knight in Another World that I'm watching right now. The CG in this series was actually done masterfully because of those rules that I mentioned. Pineapple and Marasca Cherry. In Skeleton Knight in Another World, the main character is CG. And I don't mind, because it actually looks good. Because they stick to the rule of 3 colors, they every all kinds of shading are very blocky, right? Like you can see here, all the shadows are very, even and blocky forms, not, splotches and texture, the way it looks in on the tortoise. Okay, I'm not gonna scroll this far. And the sketch lines are also there in Skeleton Knight in Another World. And the tortoise in here in the OP actually looks good because 3 colors, because big forms, big shapes of the highlights and of the shadows, and because of the sketch lines. But for some reason, in the anime itself, it looks like utter garbage. See, those familiars look good because I'm assuming they are CG, but notice how on the wings there's base color, there's highlight. On the fur there's base color and there's shadow. On the face there's base color and there's shadow. There are sketch lines on tips of its wings. The shadows and the highlights are big splotchy shapes. They don't have like fur texture on them. That's why they genuinely look good. Same goes for the army. This army is CG, but again, base color, shadow, and big splotchy forms. Big splotchy shapes of those highlights and those shadows. Now you can, and yeah, and even some like sketch lines on some of them. This army actually looks good. But the tortoise doesn't. The tortoise just doesn't. And this scene is what made me think that they were planning to make the tortoise look like the background, kinda, to convey its scale. But they didn't manage to convey its scale, in my honest opinion. Because we have no reference to just how tall those rocks in the background are, for example. It'll stop, we're taking down the familiars. Rishia needs more self-confidence. I'm assuming as soon as Rishia gains that confidence, she's gonna be, maybe not OP, but she's gonna be strong. She's actually genuinely gonna be strong. It's kind of like... Who was that character? I can't remember. I cannot remember the name of that character. But essentially, that character was like super powerful deep within, but lacked confidence so much that they never use like full their powers fully. Because oh, what if I fail? What if something blows up? What if this? What if that? And whatnot. And if they had more confidence in their powers, they would be one of the more powerful beings in whatever series it was. I really can't remember. And also can just control gravity. And that's an amazing skill to have. And I love the effect of her power. I genuinely love this effect of those vertical lines. This skill, it turns a monster into a yin-yang, and then the yin flies off to kill, and the yang flies off to kill. Who comes up with that? And of course, Granny is also powerful. Just dancing around them, kicking everybody until they explode. Siege weapons were ineffectual. I mean, they did manage to break its skin, so that's something. And yeah, I was talking about the scale, right? Like, look at the size of the projectiles from the ballistae that are embedded in its skin, and look at the size of its leg. Does this scale look like something where the tortoise would be able to support buildings on its back? Right? Like, the size of one of those bolts is essentially the size of a building on its back. Can we get a shot of... Yeah, see? Right here at the bottom, there are like 3 buildings, shrines, or whatever on its shell. And that's about here, buildings on its shell. And this whole cluster of buildings is about the size of its leg, about the width of its leg. So one building is more or less the size of the ballista bolt. You can see how the scale is all kinds of fucky-wacky here. And I think that's another thing that takes away from the realism and breaks the suspension of disbelief a little bit more. Sappers. Tortoise is trapped. Somehow. It's huge, it has a shell, but a little bit of rubble is apparently enough to stop it. Hangen Muso style. Getting close to it may have awakened some information in my mind. I really don't like this trope. I really don't like this trope of some knowledge suddenly being awakened in a very convenient moment. Really don't like it. Especially since that knowledge is almost entirely useless and inconsequential. When he can no longer take souls directly, he launches a ranged attack. Oh, would you look at that? Do you mean that? That ranged attack? Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me about that 5 seconds in advance. I don't know what I would have done without this knowledge. It's taking far more souls than it needs. Whoever's controlling it is probably ordering it to take more souls than needed. Who's controlling it and why? That's the question I have. Could it be heroes from another world, from Glass's world? Maybe. Could it be some madman from this world? Equally possible. We don't have pretty much anything to stand on when it comes to speculation on who exactly is doing that. My bet is the book hero that was shown in the OP, but I might as well just lose this bet because I'm not sure. Eclair has a good idea to hide near the tortoise because it probably won't want to hurt itself. But can't it just stomp them when they're in the area? I guess it's like completely immobilized somehow. Final stage. Dude just dies of cringe without any external injuries visible. Like, he's more injured. This dude just loses focus in his eyes and just passes out. It's weird, you know? It's weird. It's a show that's willing to show blood, right? Like, people are bleeding here. And the tortoise, the you can see the cross section of its head once it's cut off, but this dude just has no injuries and just dies of cringe. Like, show his breastplate being dented, show his leg missing, show him bleeding from his head. You know, something, anything, any sort of injury. Multicaster ritual magic. I've seen her somewhere in season 1, but I can't remember where. Zombie manticore? Sure, why not? Amalgamated parasite? Amalgamated, sure. Parasite? I guess. Whatever you say. Gravity, and they go destroy the tortoise. The judgment just fucking missed. Kinda just grazed it. Just grazed it. 8 Trigram's Blade of Destiny. Spiral Strike is cool, but 8 Trigram's Blade of Destiny. What the fuck is that name? It sounds like something from wuxia, or however you pronounce it. You know, the genre of like Chinese inspired martial arts manga or manhua or whatever you want to call it, where they always get a power up after eating some herb from the top of a mountain, and the attack names are something like that. Shield. Shield used as a weapon again. Risha helps. I like to think of this moment of Risha helping as kind of a foreshadowing of her future power. Maybe she's not great at combat, but maybe her strength is in casting buffs, all sorts of buffs. Right? She buffs Raphtalia, he buffs Philo, and with her help, they manage to cleave the head right off. And that's it. The tortoise is dead. Everybody's happy. Everybody's cheering. Well, not everybody, I guess, but for the most part, people are happy. People are cheering. And again, the scale. The scale of it, like... Okay, here at the bottom, you can see Raphtalia and Philo standing next to it. And okay, that scale looks about right. But then you have this scene, and I guess it's just perspective. I guess it's just a perspective thing. Same here. No, Ost is still alive, so that apparently means you haven't defeated the Spirit Tortoise. How the fuck do you defeat it then? Beheading was supposed to be the way, but Apparently it wasn't. Ruins in the Fog. That's the next episode's title. I honestly don't know what to think. I'll be honest with you, 100% honest. If season 1 had about the same quality, I probably would have liked this season more so far. But you can certainly, definitely see a drop in quality. CG in season 1 wasn't anything to write home about. And CG in season 2 so far, in parts it's better, like the CG army, in parts it's worse, like the spirit tortoise. Although I don't remember how that oversized T-Rex looked exactly in season 1. I have a feeling it might have looked something somewhat similar to how the spirit tortoise looks. So maybe I'm talking completely out of my ass. But the quality of the 2D aspect of this show, both art and animation, took a little bit of a nosedive. That's for sure. And particularly the battle with the spirit tortoise. You might have noticed that I was laughing most of the time, not really being tense or anything like that. I don't think this battle was conveyed particularly well. There was a lot happening, sure, but a lot of it was fairly inconsequential in the large, in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. I don't know what to think. See, I loved Arifureta season 2 because it was a direct improvement over season 1. This show so far, this season so far, is not a direct improvement on season 1. And I fear that it cannot possibly be. Mainly because there's only 12 episodes of it, not 24. Some people might argue that 24 episodes of season 1 was too much, and they kind of had to fill up the time with a second arc, and that second arc kind of suffered because of that. Personally, I didn't notice that. Personally, I liked the entirety of season 1, genuinely. Maybe I'm harsh on this season so far because I'm looking at it through the lens of season 1. Perhaps that's it. Perhaps it's right now about on par with season 2 of Arifureta. And I think it wouldn't be an inaccurate thing to say. I think if you were to put those two shows side by side, the art quality, the CG quality in Arifureta Season 2 and in Shield Hero Season 2 would be about on par. Pacing, I'm not sure which series would have better pacing. I'm afraid it might actually have been Arifureta Season 2. But because Arifureta Season 1 was so bad, and because Shield Hero Season 1 was so good, there's that discrepancy and there's that relative comparison where, relatively speaking, season 2 of Arifureta honestly was much better than what I've seen so far of season 2 of Shield Hero. And it's wild. It's wild to think of it. That both in the last season, I kinda unofficially dubbed Arifureta season 2 the best seasonal show that I've seen because of how consistently good it was. It didn't have any worse moments. It didn't have any, particularly striking moments either, but it didn't have any dips like Tokyo 24-ku or Sabiku Ibisco had. And could it be that Arifureta Season 2 actually turns out to be better than Shield Hero Season 2? It's so wild to think about it because of how much the roles were reversed with their respective first seasons. Hmm. Well, one thing I am glad about is that it's not the end of the Spirit Tortoise arc. That the Spirit Tortoise is apparently still alive somehow, and they will have to kill it again, but more permanently. And there's also the matter of whoever is controlling it. So that's another thing to resolve. I'm assuming it's gonna take us at least another 3 episodes. I hope it's not gonna be less. I'm kind of hoping that they're not gonna try to squeeze multiple arcs in this season. When you have 24 episodes at your disposal, you can try to do that. Because, like, 12 episodes for one arc, 12 episodes for another, or maybe 16 episodes for one arc, 8 episodes for another, and you can kind of, figure it out. When it's just 12 episodes, you can't do 8 episodes of one arc and then 4 episodes of another. Unless it's like super short arc. So I hope they spend all 12 episodes on just this Spirit Tortoise arc. But thing is, we've seen the Scythe hero, we've seen the Gem hero, we've seen other heroes, and we've seen the other Cardinal heroes. And I can't think of a way to incorporate them in that single arc, right? Usually, when you have an arc in a story, the amount of characters in that arc is fairly limited. You don't have an arc where everybody is there and Knuckles, because there's simply too many characters uh, to keep track of. When you have an arc in a story, you have our main characters, perhaps not even all of them, and then you have some established group, and the arc is about them. Then, when another arc happens, you have our main heroes and some another group, or perhaps the same group, or perhaps someone from that group joined our main heroes, or something like that happened. But usually, you don't have more than like 2 or 3 groups of characters per arc, because it's very hard to keep track of. We already have the Shield Hero group in this arc, and I can't see them being able to bring 2 more groups here: the Cardinal Heroes, then the 7-star Heroes, then the Heroes from Another World. It would be too much, I think. At least that's what I believe. That's what I think. I might be mistaken. They might be able to make it work, but they haven't been instilling that kind of confidence in me so far. So that's it. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about that was in this episode? I was kind of hopeful that what's her face? The familiar girl. I already forgot her name. Oran? Oh, something with O. The familiar girl. That's how I'm gonna call her. That her giving her power to Naofumi's shield would mean that she's now Naofumi's familiar, and that's how she survived, and that the tortoise really is done, because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of this arc so far, and that she's just gonna join us in whatever other adventures we're having. But apparently the tortoise isn't dead quite yet, so she sticks around because of that. Hmm. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with her, what happens with the tortoise, with whoever is controlling it, and I don't think I have anything more to say about this episode, but maybe you do. And if so, do tell me all about it down in the comments. What did you think of this episode? What did you think of my reaction? What did you think of my theories? Just please keep it spoiler free. Even if I'm not exactly liking everything I see, I still want to experience it myself and I want to experience it blind. If there are some details that aren't spoilers, but only something that was omitted from this episode or from previous episodes that was there in the source material, absolutely do mention it. Just that if you have a suspicion that it might be a spoiler, I'd rather you skip it. I honestly rather you skip it. If you do want to talk spoilers, you can join my Discord server right here, and we have a Shield Hero channel there where you can use spoiler attacks to talk spoilers, or you can just not use spoiler attacks to talk not spoilers. And I frequent all those channels, so I read all of that. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases, not only Shield Hero but also Skeleton Knight in Another World. If you like isekais, highly recommend. It's genuinely great. Shokei Shodown of Virgin Road, another isekai that shocking is also quite great, so might want to check that out. Review Starlight that I released the day before yesterday. Yeah, Symphogear G, that's going to be releasing soon, and Spy X Family, and that's the entirety of my lineup. If you're interested in that, go check them out. There's going to be some cards in the corner. All of that is on my channel, so go visit it and check it out. If you want to support me monetarily, you can do so on Patreon. Link in the description. For $1 a month, you get a role on my server, and that role gives you access to a special channel where I post some sneak peeks and whatnot, and it also gives you an orange name to distinguish yourself among other users. And for $10 you get early access to non-seasonal shows, which this time around is Review Starlight and Symphogear G. And of course, as always, share this video with other people who you know would enjoy it, because the more you spread the word about my videos and about my channel and about my content, the more YouTube itself spreads that word, and it really helps the channel grow. So hey, you can help that way without spending a single cent. But now that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Cheers! And here's yet another benefit that every single Patreon gets. It is a place in the credits.